This animation is incredible, but it was made in After Effects. So I challenged myself to build something just as premium, using only 2D layers entirely inside DaVinci Resolve. Today I'm showing you the exact framework to take a basic story and make it visually addictive. Let's jump in. The assets I use in this video are linked below. In Fusion, drag in a background node, connect it to the media out. Selecting the background node, turn the alpha all the way down. Drag your background in, connect it to a merge. And now selecting that merge on the background, we want to reduce the size. So reduce the size by half, so 0.5. Now we can see the background in full view. Next, we're going to build out the framework. Drag in another background, connect it to a new merge node. Selecting the background, change the color to white. Now we're going to connect a rectangle node to that background. Uncheck the solid box, change the border width to 0.003, uncheck view controls. Adjust the width and the height. Drag the length down a little bit just to open a gap like that, so it looks like an entrance of a building. Drag in a polygon node, connect it to the rectangle, and uncheck this click here for shape animation. We're just going to draw two little lines here. This is the first one that we're going to change to 0.003 again, that's the thickness. Select that polygon, copy and paste, and just drag that one up. Select all the nodes, copy and paste another one, and then we're going to connect it on the main line. Move this rectangle, the second building, and I'm just going to change the height and the width. Change the entrance a little bit so it looks like a different building, and the same with the polygons. Select the Z rotation and change it to 90%, and now it's this way up, so we can just drag it over that entrance. Same with the other one, change it to 90, the Z rotation, and just drag this down. Just repeat the whole process until you have a layout that looks like this. So what I'm going to do is just to organize everything, select everything, and just group them. These are static, they're not going to move, we're not going to animate them at all. This is just to organize the whole timeline. Creating a scene like this requires more than just knowing which buttons to press in Fusion. It's about understanding composition and layout and how to lead a viewer's eye. Whenever I'm feeling stuck on the design side of my motion graphics, I head over to Skillshare to see how the pros are handling their layouts. I've been taking classes like Graphic Design Theory, Composition and Layout by Martin Perhiniak. As a member, I'm not just searching for random fixes. I'm getting structured learning from humans who actually work in the industry. One specific takeaway that changed this project for me was learning how to use composition and layout principles to better guide a viewer's eye through a scene. Skillshare has creative classes taught by world-class creatives like professional illustrators, renowned graphic designers, and successful entrepreneurs. It's the best place to learn a creative skill or pick up a new hobby. If you're looking to reconnect with your creativity and maybe avoiding brain rot, Skillshare is where humans come to learn from other humans. The first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Go check it out. Right, so next we're going to add in some images. The first image we're going to add in is this car. You just drag it down and then just move it over. Just going to leave some space for some texture. The next image is going to be newspaper. Position it right here. I'm going to make this quite big. And the next one is the fingerprint. And then this one. This is all the static stuff that won't be animated. You can always use 3D assets as well. And then let's select all the images and put them into a group. We're getting into the animation part of this whole thing. So the first line is going to be another background on a new merge, change it to white again, and then let's select polygon, change the border width to 0.003. And we're going to start from here and we want to connect it to this one. But we want the camera to hover here for a few seconds up until frame 60, add a keyframe on length, and then go to frame 140, add another keyframe there, and then go back to frame 60 and pull this down. Open the spline window, select that polygon, smooth our keyframes out. Just S on your keyboard. Copy this, copy and paste another one, connect it there, select our polygon, show view controls. On frame 40, we're gonna hover here for about 2 seconds again. So on frame 200, selecting the new polygon, we're gonna just draw a line quickly and connect it to this building right here. And then we'll go up to frame 290, add another keyframe and go back to 200 and just bring this down again. Open the spline window and select the new polygon. Zoom to fit, S on your keyboard to smooth it out. That's pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna do that. And then the last line will be between these two buildings. So we'll add a keyframe on 380 and another keyframe on 440. Go back to 380 and just drag it down. Open the spline window, select everything, S on your keyboard to smooth it out. That's the whole structure of this whole animation. Drag in a text, connect it on a new merge, copy this text, paste that in text box a little bit, move it over to this side quite a bit. And I'm gonna change the font to shadows into light. Add a keyframe on right on, and then on frame 60, we're gonna add another keyframe, go back to 0 and just pull this down. Text 1 is first, then we're gonna do this text. So we'll just copy this, paste it in, we'll move the keyframes up. So don't worry about that. We'll just delete these keyframes and we're gonna change the text, insert that text and move this layout up to this side. Text is pretty much the same size, so this makes the whole thing a little bit more cohesive. As soon as it stops, add a keyframe on right on 360. I'm going to add a keyframe there, go back to 290 and just drag this down, copy this text and paste it again. Delete the old keyframes, paste in our new text and move this text over next to the diamond. I want to decrease the diamond size. I'm going to go into images and then just select the merge and decrease that size a little bit and move it over. On frame 440, put a keyframe on right on and then on frame 480, put another keyframe, go back and then just pull this down. And that's the basic layout. You can further refine this by adding in scribbles or highlight parts on the document, stuff like that. When you're happy with everything, now we can bring this into a 3D environment. So just select all your nodes and keyframes and right click and select group. So the first thing we want to bring in is a 3D image plane. We're going to connect that to a merge 3D, and to the merge 3D we'll connect a renderer 3D and connect that to the media app. On the merge 3D, we want to connect a camera, open up the second window. To do that, select the merge 3D and press 1 on your keyboard, and then on this dual window at the top here, viewer, select that, and now we've got 2 views. So the next thing we'll add in is a light, make it a little bit more cinematic. Selecting the renderer 3D node, enable lighting and shadows. Now go back to the spotlight and we can adjust some controls here. The control drop off and everything like that, so we can get a nice cinematic look. Now we can select our camera, position this over the van. On frame 0 we'll start, add a keyframe on zoom and the X and Y axis, and then we'll just zoom this out and position it more or less where we can see the words and everything like that. Then we'll go back a few frames, add another keyframe on zoom and all these, and then we'll go to frame 90. On frame 140, we'll just drag the camera over until we see this section, and here we can hover for a little bit, zoom the camera in, so we'll go back a few frames and then add another keyframe on zoom and XY, zoom this in a little bit and move it to the top. Then we go back a few frames. Before it starts to animate the next line, add another keyframe on X and then go to frame 240. Pull the camera over to that area. We'll go back a few frames, add another keyframe. Going back a few frames just smooths it out a little bit, and then go forward. Yeah, we'll hover here for a second, just a little bit, go back a few frames, add some more keyframes on X, Y, and Z. And while we're here, also want to go back a little bit, add a keyframe on Z, and then go to frame 500. I'm gonna pull this back a little bit more, and then we'll see the whole thing in full view, just like that. When you're done with your animation, it should look something like this. Yeah, if you like this type of content, let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next one.